Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Marvelous, or The Death of Cinema. On this very special episode, we have Andy from Those Good Old-Fashioned Family Values to tell us all about...
That is not the name of my podcast.
Oh, right. I put the family in by accident.
Yeah, Those Good Old-Fashioned Values.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I did that. I said old-fashioned family values. It's implied. It's an implied family values for a family-type guy.
All right, Andy's going to quit now.
The first and only Family Guy podcast that has not watched an episode of Family Guy for a podcast in like a year plus.
I watched an episode of Family Guy last night. It was kind of mid, actually.
Well, for the podcast, you know.
It wasn't for the podcast.
It always finds its way into your YouTube recommendations.
I don't think I've seen an episode of Family Guy since the first Obama term at latest.
That's a good stuff.
They got some good episodes out there.
Some.
The modern ones aren't good.
No. But hi guys, it's Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
At the top of the hour, I think we need to pay our respects. This is R.I.P. Jabba Jigga. Posted too close to the sun.
All right, that's really loud.
Okay.
Yeah, man, some loser up and got Cole perma'd.
Turns out you can't say a lot of really inappropriate things to Matt Walsh, and I don't know. I don't even remember. It was like leftism. Yeah,
which is clearly just a right-wing grift account because like all of their posts are about like calling trans people like monsters.
Oh, it's just libs of TikTok.
Yeah, it's a libs of TikTok wannabe. Lame.
It was probably conservative Twitter that got Cole, but you never know. It could have been Leafy. It could have been Leafy's followers.
I don't even know what a Leafy is. Like a Pokemon?
Leafy threw his fitted into the ring and got Cole suspended.
he might have. He does apparently have shooters at Twitter who got him back on his account. Also, I beat the Terraria boss that I started
nice.
during the episode.
Hold on. This is like way off track. I mean, I guess you could say it's something that a turtle eats. What's a Leafy? Who's Leafy?
The very short explanation is 2016 annoying twink drama YouTuber who was gone for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Man, that sucks. Get him out of here.
Keepstar, but he could pass as a woman.
But even then, he's like a guy from like you went to high school in like 2011 2010 with, and so he's just like still sporting like the emo guy haircut even though he's like in his 30s, the like shitty fitted, just like being a
cooking
dick troll.
Get his ass.
No, he's not.
Get his ass.
Yeah, Leafy is not cooking some like
by the way, I'm curious about this. I'm the oldest person on this podcast. I started high school in 2012, fall 2012.
Well,
no, you're not. No, you're not.
I graduated in 2009.
Bitch, I'm turning 30 this year.
You're the oldest.
That's the oldest person on this podcast. Excuse
No, I meant on mine.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
that is.
You're all infants.
Fucking millennial.
You've never rewound. None of you have ever rewound a VHS tape.
I have.
Actually, I have. I had a VHS.
You held it up like the Ark of the Covenant.
I had a VHS up until I think Obama was like second term or something.
I got rid of mine before that. I think it was
okay, but you don't know what channel surfing is.
I know what channel surfing
what are you
is.
talking about? Of course we had cable.
No, it's not the same. Cable doesn't count because you're scrolling through a menu. I mean, like hitting a button and having like 5 seconds of a show appear on screen before hitting the button and going on to the next channel.
Which was the style at the time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they've watched Robot Chicken for their podcast as a
No, we have not.
affiliate.
We have not.
Really?
Even though Robot Chicken is basically just Family Guy cutaway gags for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, we did not. I'm glad we didn't because it's worse than Family Guy.
Robot Chicken, yeah, that show seems like it's probably like aged like milk.
So I like Seth Green when he shows up and stuff. Fun fact, he was Leonardo for a little bit.
Oh,
really? Wait, not in this movie.
No, in the first 3 seasons of the 2012 show.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he got the hustle as a voice actor. We should probably talk about the turtles.
So yeah, so
they have huge penises.
For our audience, I want to take you on a little journey here. I want you to imagine a turtle. Now imagine that this turtle is a mutant of some kind, and it's the approximate girth and form of a man, but it's not a man; it's a teenager, and it's a ninja.
I wouldn't say. I don't know. They're way girthier.
Approximate. I said approximate.
And also, did you know turtles have very long dicks? In like a suction cup.
Like
mushroom.
Shockingly huge.
Nicole just needed to know what a turtle penis looks like, and took us on a journey.
They are at least 15 to 20% of their body weight mass is fucking.
It really looks like this. Oh yeah, they're like 1/5 penis.
Well, I don't know that statistically. I'm just looking at some of the pictures you've shown. That's what it looks like.
It looks like a significant amount of their body.
And it like flares out at the head. It looks like that scene.
Like the alien face hugger.
Well, no, it's like The Thing. When the dog cage scene, and it's like got that unfolding flower.
It looks like a periscope.
It's like like turtle penises were designed by Rob Bottin, man.
But okay, so I should take a little bit in explaining why I'm here talking about.
Yes. Why are you here? Why are you on our show?
90 TMNT movie, but more broadly the franchise on the whole a little bit. Okay, so a month ago at this point, I DM'd Stu because I was like, "Hey, can I come on your podcast? Cole's on recently. You're in my. We've been on Twitch together sometimes. You've been in my chat on Cole streams. Can I come on?" And it was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I've seen all the MCU movies up to Endgame, so I could do that, or I could." And I brought this movie up as like a.
He was doing the simp hands when he was doing.
And Stu was originally like, "That's a great idea. I want to talk about Kevin Eastman and his hot wife." In being in Heavy Metal 2000.
Oh yeah, no, just learning that like the whole era of heavy metal magazines I grew up reading was under the stewardship of one of the co-creators of the Turtles, and that Julie Strain appeared in the backs of all of them and in the movie because she was his wife was just I don't know, just kind of
yeah. So
do you think he's packing? Do you think he's got that turtle?
I mean, if he got a hot wife, he's got something.
I don't know so. So then originally Stu suggested that we do this as like a big, like the Spider-Man 2-parter franchise overview. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds like a great idea. But like looking through it, it's like, that's a lot of work and a lot of like supplemental material, like production stuff. I wasn't quite finding the research that I wanted to as easily. So I suggested we do this instead. Yeah,
well, when I said I didn't necessarily mean it had to be like that level of in depth, but like that we could just kind of skim because there's a lot. There's a lot. There's also
a lot of like the like
there's a lot of
but also shut up. There's also like a lot of comics and like the spin-off stuff that I just have not looked at that I feel like would be important for this. So because did you know that for a brief bit there for like 20 issues. TMNT was under the stewardship of Image Comics in the 90s, like peak Image.
Really?
It makes sense to me, honestly.
Fun fact, I believe one of the Turtles was dating a character from Savage Dragon's Cole.
Oh, that's so fun. I haven't read Savage Dragon, but that just fits.
There's a lot of obscure shit
about Savage Dragon.
Do you know? Okay, this might be the most obscure comic book thing you've ever referenced on this podcast. Cole, did you know that in issue 8 of TMNT, there is a crossover with a character who was bigger at the time, Dave Sims Cerberus?
Yeah. Wait, I actually did know.
I've heard of Cerberus. Is that like that? Is that one guy's ongoing saga?
You go.
It's supposed to be like I just know I forget like little details. Like the guy's like supposed to be like really out there kind of worldview and politics wise, and has just been writing this one comic for like 40 years. And it's like insane.
Yeah, he's a libertarian pedophile, but he also wrote.
Ooh,
it's supposed to be
what a combo!
I mean, is there any other kind?
Good news. He apparently sometime in the late 90s was just like, no, you're not reprinting the crossover issue anymore. Even though he worked on them with this, it's just like it's done. And I was like, okay. Also, biggest crossover, of course, is almost every version of the Turtles have crossed over with Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo series.
I also got to read that because it also
which is
good.
Samurai Rabbits in feudal Japan, but also there's a space spinoff where it's that, but in space, and it's Space Samurai. Anyway.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here of just animals being synchronized ninjas.
Cerberus is also good, which is fucked up because by his own admission, Dave Sims has violated the Mann Act and transported a minor across state lines.
Jesus Christ!
But okay. So I suggested we do this movie specifically because my initial thought was we do this, then we do the 2014 Bay movie. But I think we could save that for a much later day.
I saw that once with my nephews, and
I'll only watch it if it's just a cut of Megan Fox and only her scenes.
Yeah, we can do. In fact, and this is just me spitballing live on air, but sort of like how. I would get invited on your podcast whenever a Ralph Bakshi episode won the poll. We could invite you on whenever some sort of...
Oh, yeah. I love to talk about types of stuff. But anyway, so I suggest we talk about this. And I think, like... Yeah, let's talk about the 1990 TMNT movie. Do you want to start with plot synopsis or productions?
I think that's a good spot.
Should we? Could we do like a quick, just like a very brief, just like the initial run of comics and the cartoon, because it's a popularity of the cartoon brings us this movie.
Yeah, we should do a little background.
The first 5 to 6 years of TMNT history. So we start out. Our story begins in 1982, 83 in Northampton, New Hampshire.
There's a New Hampshire?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes. That's where Ken lives, you idiot. It's where my son is.
You have a son?
Fucking
Ken,
fresh dropped out of art school after 6 months. Art student Kevin Eastman is working various odd jobs and other things for the time. And he gets a hold of this, like, indie, like, magazine/comic thing called Scat, which is a bunch of, like, basically a bunch of, like, artists in the area.
I'm sorry, it's called Scat?
So no poop stuff.
Drawing turds.
Doing one-shots, basically.
Like okay.
And the comic ended.
Sort of like Scat singing, where it's like improvisation.
Yeah, kind of.
It has nothing to do with poop.
I'm the Scat man.
And then he wants to sign up, but they're done. But he gives him the number of fellow comic creator at the time, indie guy who's also working on various odd jobs, Peter Laird. Also, for context, Eastman's about 19, just dropped out of art school. Laird's almost 30 at this point.
I didn't realize they had such an age gap.
Yeah, is it a problematic age gap? Sound off in the comments.
He sends some stuff to Laird. They meet up. They start working together. Actually, with a funny story is because I read some interviews and stuff. And Kevin Eastman walks into fucking Peter Laird's house. First thing he sees is like a framed fucking Jack Kirby drawing, and it's just blown away because it's like the first time he's ever seen like proper art, an original like Kirby sketch. And so that. So they get started. They pitch ideas back and forth. I forget what the thing was that like got them.
The thing is a Fantastic Four character.
Thank you. But they come up with TMNT. The thing's basically a parody of riffing off stuff at the times. A lot of joking on Miller's Daredevil run. A bit of New Mutant reference as well, because that was the other big thing. The first issue, actually, if you read it, it's very funny. It's very clearly doing, like... Cole, have you read that, like, one-shot Daredevil parody comic that Alan Moore, like, wrote? That is, like, a very fucking, like...
I think so.
Yes. The first issue of TMNT reads, like, dead straight. Like it reads like that, like making fun of the kind of narration and monologuing that Frank Miller does a lot in his stuff, but played completely straight. I can quickly summarize.
Yeah, the joke being they're turtles.
I can quickly summarize what happens in the first issue of TMNT, because I read it like 2 or 3 times before this. So, starts with our heroes fighting in an alley. The random gang, the Purple Dragons. They defeat them through ninjutsu action. Then they return to their lair in the sewers of New York City, because they're in New York City, because that's where Marvel is. They go to meet with their master Splinter, who reunites the origin history. So, 20 years before, so like early 60s, in Japan, the Foot Clan is an established, like, Yakuza connection that's also a ninja organization in post-war Japan.
That's it.
And there are 3 people that we need to talk. Oroku Nagi, Hamato Yoshi, and Tang Shen. The 2 guys who are ninja for the Foot Clan both love Tang Shen. She falls for Hamato Yoshi.
So it's the whole thing, like, blows up over a love triangle,
and then Shen kills her. However, and then they flee to New York. However, cut to 7-year-old Oroku Saki, who is raised in Japan by the Foot Clan, embraces the hate, and is given the opportunity to found the New York City branch of the Foot Clan and make its money. He heads over, kills Hamato Yoshi, and Tang Shen, smashes Shredder's cage and leaves him orphaned.
Or you mean Splinter?
Splinter, yes. Now, keep in mind, I don't know how this standard house rat was been alive for like 8 years old, which seems old for a rat, but that's beside the point.
No, rats have very short, like, lifespans.
Then, a chemical truck driving.
It's a Japanese rat. They live longer over there. They all live to like 110.
Yeah, have you seen that Buddhist monk?
A chemical truck drives down the road, about to hit a blind man. It bounces out, hits a 10-year-old in the face who is legally distinct Matt Murdock, and falls into the ooze and lands on the jar of turtles he's holding.
He likes turtles.
I like turtles.
And the turtles are absorbed by the minions, and then Shredder goes to like pick them up and try and get them back into their tank and clean them up. And then they start mutating, they start growing, and they start speaking. And so he decides to teach them the ways of ninjutsu in his master, and names them after Renaissance painters. Yes?
All right, yeah. So that's pretty close to the movie, aside from they omit the love triangle.
Yes, yes. They do not explain why Shredder has beef with Splinter's former master at all. Which makes
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is it called the Foot Clan?
Because it's the hand.
Wait, God damn it! I literally.
What? That's something I would have asked Cole. So, like, congratulations!
Wait, I should know
been
that. Oh my God!
The podcast.
Andy, I literally until now had not put that together. That it's literally just like,
I put that together.
Of the hand.
And I've never read a Daredevil comic.
So then
I forgot that it was. I keep forgetting that this is just Daredevil Turtles.
Cut back to present day. The Raphael breaks into the Foot compound, kills a bunch of the ninjas, throws one of his sais through Oroku Saki's office window with like a threat as he's like fucking doing a negotiation for a protection racket, challenging him to a duel. So the following night, the Turtles wait for him, and then and then Shredder shows up with a bunch of Foot ninja. The Turtles, in a big, cool action sequence, kill all of the Foot Clan.
Outright kill?
Oh, outright kill.
Outright kill.
With swords. And do I have... okay, I don't have the action sequence. But then they fight the Shredder, who is more skilled than any of them. However, they are managed to wind him down by keeping him at bay, throwing projectiles, and sneaking attacking him from behind. They gut him, but they give him a chance to have an honorable death. They hand him Leonardo hands him one of his katanas and tells him to commit seppuku. And which is, stabbing yourself in the heart. Shredder says, "Fuck you," pulls out a thermite grenade. Donnie throws his staff at him, knocks him off a building into an alley, and he blows up. And that's the death of the original Shredder. And then the comic ends with them sleeping in the darkness.
And isn't the only reason I know this is just because I've seen the Red Letter Media review on the movie, but isn't Shredder brought back in the stupidest way with alien worms or something like
worms, that? That's after where the movie's production starts. They came up with that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Basically, through the combination of ancient Japanese mysticism and modern technology, it turns out when worms eat matter, they absorb and become part of that. So what if you just throw his body into a giant pit of worms, recite some magic, and then you can make a new guy out of it. They get some failed
worm guy.
Yes. It makes no fucking sense, but it's cool.
If and when I'm shanked to death on the MBTA for telling some guy to put earbuds in because no one wants to hear him blasting Dua Lipa at full volume,
I want to hear him
just
blasting.
Throw my dead body to the worms and I can be revived.
So, actually, wait, it depends on the Dua Lipa album.
So, quickly rushing through the rest of the issues. Issue 2 is the introduction of April O'Neil and Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman is black scientist man who is successful and has built the world's best rodent hunting machine, Mousers, which I have a visual aid for. This is
Mousers.
Anyway, I'm posting it in the group chat.
Okay.
This is what they look like. They're little bear traps on with little chicken bodies and feet. They're great.
They look like guys you jump on in Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway,
they look like Robotnik creations.
So he has his assistant, who is not a journalist, April O'Neil, who helped program them. He turns out mysteriously notices there are a bunch of bank robberies that could only be committed by Mousers. He chases her into the sewer and confesses to him and has the Mousers kill her. Turtles show up and save her. They reveal their shtick to him. They go back, try and stop. Oh wait, before this, Baxter Stockman, of course, threatens to use the Mousers to, he's not doing it professionally. He's hiding his face, but he uses them to threaten to destroy one of the World Trade Center towers. Because
that's awesome.
Because it was the 80s, and you could just do that still.
Yeah.
We need to bring them back just so people can threaten to destroy them.
April.
I do think we need to bring them back just because they were very nice looking buildings.
I thought they were kind of
now that you mention it, I didn't see the Twin Towers in the movie at all, and it's
you're right.
I was waiting for a shot of the turtles by the Twin Towers.
That's because most of this movie was shot in North Carolina. But yeah, they stop Stockman. He dies, and they leave. Then, roughly speaking, there's a big... Okay, so... Long story short, Splinter gets kidnapped by weird aliens, which are cuttlefish that have human mech suits. I have a picture, again, visual aid.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember, what's that, the Krang?
This sounds fun. Wait.
I keep telling you to read this shit. Let me get.
It's a big jump though from Yakuza ninjas to.
Well, yeah, that's because they're big
aliens.
Jack Kirby fanboys.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And they want to do sci-fi stuff. But let me get.
So they've never been aliens.
No, they have never been aliens. They've met aliens. They've fought aliens, but they themselves have never been aliens. Okay, so these guys.
Because you're talking I've watched a couple episodes of the show, but
yeah, they're Utrons. Anyway, they go in, break into the front they're using because they're stranded on Earth. A big misunderstanding happens. They get teleported into space, tying into a previous comic that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird had worked on, I believe, called The Fugitoid, which is basically a guy got his brain transported into a robot, cool. And he knows, and he's the only guy in that part of the galaxy who knows how to build a teleporter. So he's super wanted because, you kind of want teleportation. The not Star Wars, the Star Wars humans, but not humans, try to arrest the turtles. They escape, but then they get captured by fucking Triceratons and taken to the Triceraton home.
Are they space dinosaurs?
Let me show you and what the Triceraton homeworld looks like.
And this is just issue 2?
This is issue. We are on. This is issue. This stuff happens.
That's
from
what I expected.
Issue 3 through 7 is it's carried out. That's why I'm kind of rushing through because it's not.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty packed 7 issues.
Yeah, no, they're a little plus sized, but yeah. So anyway,
that's such a fun way to describe a giant size, like an oversized issue.
The curvy.
They got some junk in the trunk.
Yeah.
So then,
it's not an annual; it's a thickie.
Look at the dumpster on that comic book.
So the Utroms teleport them back, explain their shtick. They're assaulted by the government, but they get their teleportation back working, so they get to their home planet. The turtles meet back up with April, who has just been devastated because she doesn't know what they are. And then they meet back up. And that's kind of where the first 7 issues are. Oh, also, in between that, they're doing the micro series, which are standalone little issues about each characters. And in the first Raphael micro series, they introduce Casey Jones. Now, the shtick of Casey Jones in the comics, he is a Punisher joke, as gone. The conceit of his original backstory, they add more later, but much later, is that he's a guy, and it's the 1980s, so there's urban decay is a big problem. But he's also had TV rot his brain, so he puts on a hockey mask and gets out some sports equipment and beats up criminals. The cops can't do it themselves. So then Raph and Casey have the fight they do in the movie, but they realize no, we can do this a better way, and that's basically Casey's introduction. So then we get some more small one-off issues. There's a Christmas issue for Mikey where he finds a cat named what is the cat's name again? Clank, I think, or something like that. Clunk? Yes, it's Clunk.
I love when people name cats just after noises. This is my cat Boop. This is Beep.
Yeah, this is my cat.
And it's at Christmas. The conceit is that he finds some guys robbing a truck with toys meant for orphans so that they can sell them marked up, and Mikey stops them and then gets a new cat buddy.
That's a big crime in comics. They do that a lot in the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Yeah. Then you're gonna like this one issue. Then we get to the Cerberus crossover, which is mostly about a female wizard apprentice, time traveling wizard apprentice named Renette, who's like an 80s Valley girl.
That's a lot for one.
I need her.
It's a lot of an issue. It's not that important. It just they get transported to Cerberus's world. They fight a villain who's a demon guy. They get sent back. Not that important. Then we get to Donatello, the micro, which involves, Donnie needs to go down to, because they're living in April's apartment because their old lair gets destroyed by the Mousers. So Donnie has to go down to the basement to repair the water heater so that they can have normal showers. But then they run on.
So the turtles shower.
Yes, they need to bathe.
Okay. That makes sense. They're aquatic. They're amphibious.
And he runs.
They gotta wash their long ass dicks.
He runs across this guy.
You do not want smegma building up on that thing.
Lower tenant for the basement.
Oh, no, not at all.
Who has a magic pencil, and his name is Kirby.
Oh.
What do they mean by that?
Yeah,
they must have been fans of that pink blob guy from the Nintendo.
And the shtick of his magic pencil is that anything he creates comes to life. So he has this
I would let Jack Kirby have that.
Yeah, and then he gets sucked into the portal, and they go, and and basically they fight all the cool monsters he created with like the humanoid guys helping them, and Kirby draws all these cool weapons for Donnie to use and like defeats all the monsters. But then at the end of the issue, Jack Kirby can only go back. There's only enough time to send one person back to the portal. So Donnie goes back instead, and he's like, but Kirby gives him like a note through that's very sweet. And it's about the fact that Jack Kirby is finally with his art, because this was like the comic was obviously written right at the peak of the Kirby legal issues, and Lee kind of fucking him over. So
okay, yeah, it sounds very kind of sweet in a fanboyish way. It sounds like they're throwing a lot of wild stuff out there in these.
They are.
Yeah, it seems like a very kitchen sink kind of.
Yeah,
I like it though. I'm definitely gonna have to.
That kind of makes sense. You've got this like one-off sort of
and a
joke thing, and it takes off, and you're just like, well, okay, what else can we do with this?
So. We'll get to that. But then, so then we have issue 9, which is kind of, I'm just going to skip over that because it happens. It's about Splinter helping another ninja master restore his grandson's honor from his evil corporate father. It's not important. Then we get to Leonardo issue micro series, TMNT issue 10, and
is this where Shredder comes back as a worm?
So there's a quote, because in the Ultimate Collections, which is the TMNT, the Ultimate Collections, which contains the Mirage issue, there's a quote where Kevin Eastman is like, yeah, we're going to be better than all those fucking lame comics. When our villains dies, they're going to stay dead. But we never thought we'd get more than one issue. So like Leonardo issue 1, it's Christmas time, okay? There's magic in the air. It's going outside. Leo goes outside to get some exercise, and he starts getting attacked by the Foot Clan while April, Splinter, and the other turtles are like doing Christmas merriments in the background. You know, they're making a tree, they're singing carols as more and more Foot Ninja attack him. There's Arrow guys, the Foot Elite, who become important for City of War, which is much later, which we don't have time for right now.
Wait, did Splinter raise the Ninja Turtles vaguely Christian? He's from Japan.
Well, it's a secular holiday.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
It's Xmas. Yeah, so they
don't
attack,
forget he's the reason for the season.
And then it turns out, and all of Leo's stuff is wordless. You get this great fucking panel where the Shredder comes back and he reveals himself to Leo, and they have a fight. And then cut to next page where Leo, having gotten his ass kicked, gets his barely conscious body thrown into a window, and reveals to the rest of them that the Shredder is back. Cut to issue 10, which is the fight in the apartment. It's a bunch of Foot Ninja jump them. They have to make their way downstairs quietly.
I do want to it's a little hard to convey vocally, but there is one panel in this page where it's like, I don't know if that's supposed to be blood or what, is like coming out spilling over the edge of the panel and down into the rest of the page. It's pretty good. It's
both like sleet on the ground, but it's also, I think, supposed to be interpreted as blood as well.
Okay.
Because he's gotten the shit beaten out of him at this point. I don't know how comprehensible this summary is, but I'm trying my best so we can get.
Let's just just make it like a couple key, like, because we're going to compare.
This is the last made story, and then we'll get into the production side a little bit and the 7 cartoon.
Yeah, after this, I wanted to touch briefly on the cartoon because I think we should understand the movie as kind of a synthesis of the two. Yeah.
Yes, that's where I was planning. Anyway, so they come down, and then we get maybe the single greatest panel, like as a 2-page spread. This was my Twitter banner for a while. where the turtles like come down the stairs and
I thought it was
go
guys
like
kissing.
to go, and then it's Shredder and a bunch of foot guys coming back around, and they get their way out. But up comes this mysterious stranger who turns out to be Casey Jones, comes in to help them. They don't have this in the movie, but he has the iconic battle cry. They have the iconic battle cry of Goongala Goongala.
Huh?
Oh,
what is that?
What does that mean?
Catch on.
It is just I don't know. I don't know why he says it. Eastman and Laird do not remember. They think it's a thing they saw on TV once. Anyway.
Goongala Goongala?
Yeah, he fucking shouts that. They get out of the bar, the apartment burns down, and they flee to Casey's hometown, where Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are, of Northampton, New Hampshire. And they're there in the comics for like 3 years. They come back and re-kill the Shredder, but that's after the movie. And I don't want to spoil too much for Cole because I want him to read this. One thing that I want to convey for this is that this comic is Eastman and Laird's. They would like pass the comic back and forth and like both do drawing and shading over each other's work and like add and stuff. So
that's a really interesting way for artists to work.
And it was black and white because it was a budgetary thing for their first issue because they're like, they don't have enough money to do a full.
Yeah, most indie comics up until the 2000s were black and white because it was just too expensive.
Yeah, because then you can do digital shit. And the one final thing I want to talk about is that this comic is this quote that I have that Eastman recalls in the TMNT Ultimate Collection, which is probably the best way to read these because they have all the canon Eastman Laird stuff in Volume 1 minus Tales of the TMNT. So TMNT was a quick success in the indie comic scene. The first issue sold about 9,000 copies. However, by issue 3, they were selling about 50 to 55,000 copies.
That's pretty good.
Which was more than enough
that's
to live off of. To quote Peter Laird in the wake of issue 2, do you realize that we'll make about $2,000 each on a 1,500 comic run? After everything's paid, if we did 6 of these a year, we could get by by just doing comics. Which that's I think the joy of being an indie comic writer, or just like any creators going, oh shit, I can do this full time.
I get the money.
Okay, so the 87 cartoon was a different beast. So originally, Eastman and Laird approached Playmates Toys. Hold on, I need to look something up. Okay, they approached Playmates Toys with a guy named Mark Friedman, who did a lot of the merchandising rights and has his name on a lot of like the video games and stuff. He wanted to get them into a franchise, and Playmates said maybe, but we want to do like a more kid friendly cartoon. So they met up with Fred Wolf's Irish animation studio, Murakasa Wolf Swenson, or Fred Wolf Studios, Fred Wolf Films.
You said they're Irish?
Yeah, in Dublin, Ireland, as a production company, between Fred Wolf and Jimmy Murakami, and they did a bunch of TV stuff before that. They did some of the Alvin and Chipmunks. They did they basically were like and Wolf had worked on like a bunch of like 80s plotline. Like he did some of Transformers scripts. He did Alvin and the Chipmunks. He was a workhorse.
So if the Koreans are a little too rich for your blood, you go to the Irish?
Yeah, well, and then they had the first 2 seasons were done by Toei, and some of the animation was done by Korean animators as well, but a mix. But they were the main like production for writers for the show. Eastman and Laird did not have much involvement with the show.
They're like the creative team, and then they outsource the animation to Korea.
Yes. And specifically to Toei in 1986, which is always weird to me to think, oh yeah, Dragon Ball and Ninja Turtles are like as old as each other. Came out same year.
They probably have about the same amount of fans.
Yeah. So So they initially create. So the show takes off in this way, in that the first season is 5 episodes, which is a continuous storyline. The second season is like 13, and then, because by season 3 they wanted to hit that syndication number, season 3 I believe is over 50 episodes.
That's a huge jump. Holy shit!
That's
when the animation and like productions. Let me look how much. Yeah, 47.
Yeah, those poor.
And then season season 4 has 41. Resulting in 193 episodes for their first show, which until Rise, all 3 of the TMNT cartoons had over 100 episodes. So they all had their own successes.
So that cartoon runs until that's like 87 to like 90 or 92 or something?
No, later than that.
Really?
The final 3 seasons, the final episode airs 96.
Holy shit. 'Cause I like don't really remember ever watching or seeing the cartoon come on. It was like something that my big sister watched.
Well,
who's quite a bit older.
For the last 3 seasons, it was when it was started like falling behind in production, or like, because as the show goes, like season 1 is kind of still going for like a toned down Mirage a little bit with like its own flair. By season 2 and 3, that's when they start like doing goofy shit, and it's mostly comedy. And
it's full blown 80s kids cartoon.
Yeah.
By that point.
By the last 3 seasons, which are collectively called the Red Sky arc, because they have Red Sky like Batman the Animated Series. Basically, Batman the Animated Series 8 started eating their lunch, and so they needed to make something a little more action and a little sci-fi. But yeah, from like
that would make sense, because Batman Animated Series really kind of was a bar setter for
from like
cartoons.
7.
Also funny because
Turtles was a big deal for like 7 seasons.
The Red Sky is like usually refers to the crises in DC are usually
that's fun.
Involve a red sky, so that's funny.
Yeah, they introduced new villains. That's not anyway. The long and short of it is the big changes they make is April's a TV reporter, so you have her news crew. Hamato Yoshi is not a guy who gets assassinated in gang warfare anymore. He is Splinter in the 87 cartoon, mutated into a rat because he touched a rat after the mutagen. The Turtles are still Turtles.
And that sucked to be turned into a rat.
The Utroms get kind of absorbed.
I would hate that, actually.
Krang as a character who is an evil conqueror who was banished from his home dimension of Dimension X and wants to build the Technodrome, which is like the Epcomp dome on wheels, and it also has a bunch of space weapons sticking out of it.
There's a bunch of Public Enemy songs about it. Wait, no, I think that's the Terror Drone. What's the difference?
Wait, what was that?
So it's just kind of like a shitty Death Star.
Yeah, kind of but it's on tank wheels.
It's on tank wheels. Sorry, it sounds really dangerous.
Yeah,
definitely conquer the world with that.
The gimmick is every season the Turtles destroy it and it gets teleported into a new location that they're stuck in for the rest of the season. And then the goal is to try and prevent the Technodrome from getting out. Anyway, they also have mutant henchmen to work under Shredder and Krang. Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh, yeah, like one's like a rhino and one's like a boar or something?
Warthog.
Yeah, and they're both like black guys?
One of them's black.
One of them's a black guy? They were very
we don't have to make it about race, Cole. Come on.
Speaking of making it about race.
They had like chains and stuff.
Remember how I brought up comic Baxter Stockman and he was an evil black scientist in the original?
Yeah.
In the 87 cartoon, he is a white guy.
So is that good or bad representation-wise?
I think the explanation
I'm going to say somewhere in the middle.
Is because
good representation is when characters are good people.
Stockman is getting his shit kicked in by Shredder and is working, and they didn't want to have a black guy on TV be like weak-willed and diminutive to.
And probably in what year was this? Because I wonder if it was also like
87.
Okay, so no, this is like before the Rodney King.
Yeah, no, this is way before.
Okay.
But
goddamn woke culture ruining our cartoons during the Reagan administration.
I hate stupid liberals. They're so ignorant. They don't know anything.
So they at the end of either season 1 or season 2, they also have him turn into a mutant fly because he's kind of a riff off the Jeff Goldblum Fly remake in the 80s cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And he gets really shit on. It's very funny. He is one of the most miserable characters. That's basically the rough history. There's a lot of other characters they create who are original.
So if we were to zoom out in terms of the cartoon versus the comic, what are kind of like just like sort of like more like tone and texture?
Also, some of the big things they added to the Turtles' personality. In the original Lodge comics, even though they're all black and white, all of the Turtles have the same red headbands in the original. Whenever they do color reprints, you can see that on the front cover.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, yeah. They color coded them, which makes a lot of sense for selling toys.
Yes, which does. And also, this is neither here nor there. In Britain, it's made to TMNT Hero Turtles, and also Mikey for like for like the middle chunk of seasons has his nunchucks replaced with a grappling hook because of British censors being like a weird British guy who was super xenophobic in like Parliament or whatever. I forget the specifics.
Yeah, I understand some weirdo was in charge over there, and like that was when they were like really freakishly censorious on but why so you've got like swords and shit. Why the nunchucks? The nunchucks are like the silliest goddamn weapon in the world.
I think it was because nunchucks are more easier to conceal or something. I forget the specifics, but it was weird.
It's like the least threatening weapon. It's like sub a baseball bat.
Yeah.
There was something up with that. I forget what. Yeah, but like nunchucks were illegal.
And Donatello still have the same personality, roughly, where Leo is Mr. Leader and Donnie is Tech Guy. Mikey he's still always kind of the jolly one. By the way, forgot to mention, he is not Mikey in the Mirage comics. He is Mike. And that is weird.
Mike, Big Mike, slamming back a broom.
Big Dick Mike. Literally Big Dick Mike.
And also, this is another thing. After the first issue, after TMNT issue 1 to, I believe, the IDW comics, every single incarnation of Michelangelo has his name misspelled. Or I think there's an extra E somewhere. I forget the details.
Oh, that's the French spelling.
Yeah, we'll say that. So, because this is before, like, the 87 cartoon was a big juggernaut. In fact, I think the Ninja Turtle toy line was the third biggest toy line of the entire decade, behind Star Wars and maybe Indiana Jones. What was the other thing?
Transformers, maybe?
Maybe G.I. Joe, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was like one of my big sister's things, and she was old enough. She was like Transformers and like that era. And that was the reason we had the 1990 movie on tape, which was my main exposure to the characters. Yeah, really. But overall, though, like the cartoon is at least past those first 5 episodes, which vaguely sort of
goofier. Also, the big pizza section comes with the cartoon.
Oh, the pizza thing comes from the cartoon. Okay,
and Raph is the angry guy. He's the snarky one in the cartoon. But yeah, that's blows up and creates. So then, cut to about 1987. Eastman and Laird decide, okay, we're going to go for a movie thing. Oh, by the way, this is neither here or there. Eastman and Laird, in Mirage's peak in like the 90s, spending $5 million in the year, including Fred Wolf, who got into a very personal, mean lawsuit with Eastman and Laird over rights. I believe he wanted half of all merchandising income, which is no, as co-creator of the Turtles. And I haven't seen anything definitive about how that lawsuit ended. I'm assuming they just paid him a lump sum since they own most of the stuff. But when Viacom bought the Turtles, they had to piecemeal kind of buy out some of the rights for like the 87 show and some of the other things. Also,
the
Haim Saban Next Mutation, I'm just going to bring this up briefly. That was the thing that got Eastman and Laird to break up and Laird to sell his control of the company to Eastman to sell his control of the company to Eastman because he was pissed and Laird hated the fucking show. It did really well.
All right, hold on. I got it. That came out kind of garbled. So
okay, yes.
Which Eastman and Laird? Which one was the one who backed this Next Mutation, which was like a bad live action Power Rangers sort of deal?
It was done by Hans Saban. Imagine Power Rangers, but with none of the Super Sentai footage. Like it's just that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. To clarify for anyone in the audience that might not know. If you remember Power Rangers from your childhood, which none of you will because you're all goddamn Zoomers.
No, they kept making that shit until like 2014.
Yeah.
No, we got enough millennials.
It's half stuff that they shot in Los Angeles and then half just footage that they took from a Japanese show and stitched together. Which
they stitched that. And
I don't know if everybody knows.
Introduced a fifth turtle, a female one, to the gang.
Laird
hated the fuck.
Shut up, Cole.
Not really.
Shut up, Stu.
Yeah, I like how you immediately heard horny and were like, "Shut the fuck up, Cole."
Actually, wait. Is the suit actor a white woman?
I forget. But yeah, Next Mutation happens, and that's how Eastman is not involved with the Turtles at all until the Viacom buyout in 09, which Laird does because he's like, I'm old, I made all the things that I really want to. I'll just sell this shit.
He's cashing out.
Yep.
Yeah, good for him.
But let's summarize.
After all that. So then we get to
okay. So I just want to
an hour in.
I just want to summarize and set the stage a little bit. So we have this comic, which is relatively, I don't know if I'd call it edgy, but it's like more teen or oriented. It's violent and kind of out there. But it's not like 80s Saturday morning cartoon fare. So it becomes this indie hit that's like purely this creation of these two artists. They sell it to a toy company, which makes a cartoon that they're not involved in. That very quickly just becomes your kind of typical
and they
toy commercial schlock. So then they pursue a live action movie that they will have more say that's prompted by the success of the cartoon, but they'll have relatively more influence.
They were consultants. Neither of them were writers. It was they pitched it around because this movie is technically an indie movie. And fun fact, highest grossing indie movie in the world until Blair Witch Project.
Really?
Yes,
that's really interesting.
It was made on hold on. I have to
think about it. Remembering the VHS tape, I don't remember any studio logos coming up.
It was released by New Line, which was
Golden
still
Harvest
and
the house that Freddy Krueger built. Yeah,
they came in at the end. This was right at I think they were only at Nightmare Part 3 or 4 at this point, so they weren't a giant.
It was late. It was later in the franchise, is towards the end of it. But yeah, no, the budget, according to Wikipedia, this was $13.5 million total box office. At least,
it was only. I don't think this is adjusted. Million. They were $4 million over budget.
Yeah, a total box office $202 million.
But yeah, so
that's massive.
They managed to get director Steve Barron, who was not okay. First off, they didn't get any.
Sorry, what was the overall budget?
$13.5 million.
That's okay. Yes, that's about a RoboCop.
Yeah,
that's a RoboCop.
So that's kind of how we measure budgets is RoboCops.
And originally they pitched it around to studios, and none of them want them because of the failures of two big movies. Because remember, this is pre-'89. Comic book movies are fucking dead.
Yes.
Superman.
One of them was
4,
Masters of the Universe.
Superman 4 almost bankrupted canon at this point. Or did bankrupt. Anyway, Masters of the Universe is one of them. Do you know what the other one is? It's a movie that you're going to have to talk about at some point, 100% guaranteed.
What's that?
Would you like to guess?
Let's guess. Dick Tracy?
Cole?
No, what year was it? What year was it?
Darkman?
No.
No, not
What year was it?
The Darkman's also 1990.
It was mid-'80s.
Oh, mid-80s.
Mid-80s.
Oh, which? Oh,
Howard the Duck?
Yes!
Oh!
Duck tits for the win!
Yeah. Haven't you guys already done an episode on that, or am I tripping?
No. That should be a bonus. That would be a great bonus episode.
We can put it on the bonus episode.
We talked about it briefly during the Guardians episode, though.
That had Lucas, I think, production involved in some way.
He was a producer, yeah.
Howard the Duck
and
directed
by...
He did nothing.
Directed by the couple that did Messiah of Evil, which is a really great horror film from the 70s. So it's sad their career went the way it did.
And then, so none of them wanted it. They managed to get director Steve Barron, because by just like, he doesn't want to do it at first. He like thinks it's a stupid idea. Gets a hold of some of the comics and is like, oh, okay, there's like meat here. By the way, Steve Barron, not that acclaimed of a director, mostly, I think the only other big thing he did was the SNL like parody film, Coneheads.
Coneheads!
We come from France.
Yeah, the director of Coneheads made this movie. But the big thing he's known for are 2 music videos, one of them being the Billie Jean music video.
Oh.
And the bigger one is, of course, Take On
Me.
Which is one of the greatest.
Oh, that is an awesome music video. That is a really great music video.
Literally one of the greatest of all time.
Movie with like the April sketches. Anyway, so they managed to talk Golden Harvest, who does like who's a big localizer of kung fu movies, to get some money from them, because Steve Barron, director, did some work on a show Jim Henson had on ABC in the 80s.
The Storyteller.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I love The Storyteller's great. I love The Storyteller. I watched reruns of that as a kid a lot.
That's how
he's connected to
they get the Henson Company, and this is the final
he's
film.
also credited as an executive producer on Reboot.
Steve Barron?
Steve Barron.
Okay, that's neat. Jim Henson, he doesn't like the project because he thinks it's a little too violent, and he's kind of a pacifist, but he's like, okay, he does it for a friend of the fan, and that's how you get the animatronic suits, which are a pain in the ass to work with because you're dealing with electronics and sewer. Also, only a very little of this film is shot in New York. It's mostly like a recreation of an 80s post-bankruptcy street corner that they took the set down to for in North Carolina. That's where most of the filming, and that's why Northampton, New Hampshire, has all of this southern plant life and fauna.
It is very, very lush with the drapey, willowy trees and stuff. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does look like the South.
What a fucking New England forest looks like.
No, it
so they shoot that, and then it is 89 comes out in mid-production, which definitely, I think, helped this movie in success.
You mean Batman 1989?
Yes, Batman 89. That's just what I call it. It's 89.
Yeah.
Batman 89.
I mean, yeah.
Batman OG.
You know, fucking Last Crusade also came, but like, Batman 89 is the movie of 1989. Not the best movie, just the movie.
Oh, yeah. No, it's easy to forget now, after so many other Batmen have come and gone, how huge that movie was in its time. Like, massive.
And it comes out, and
that movie is the reason why people think that Batman is cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Before that, he was a joke. At least
because they mostly just thought Adam West Batman.
And they're like, they're super overbooked, and like, they need this to be a big hit, and it fucking is. It is, again, as we said, the biggest the biggest indie movie of all time at the time, and and is
probably like second or third now. Yeah,
biggest of the year, big success. Going to make sequels. The second movie has kind of the Batman Forever problem of parent groups were mad about the swearing and violence, so it's goofier and doesn't look as great.
Yeah, they replaced like nunchucks with like sausage links.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Added,
I remember seeing them reference that in the RLM videos. Like, they can't use any other weapons, so they keep improvising prop fights.
Those hooks.
That sounds awful.
And it's okay for a movie that was scrambled together in 11 months. 3's dog shit, but that's beside the point. So I've spent the past hour monologuing somewhat incoherently, kind of taking the spotlight. Sorry if that was a bit much.
Miguel will fix it in editing. It's okay. That's what we brought here to do.
Miguel, make this sound less spurgy.
No.
I don't like sand.
I'm a slithery little sneaky snake.
We're just a big knob labeled autism. We're just gonna turn it down about 15%.
Thank you. Yeah, you can
do we cut the ums and ahs on this? I actually have not listened
a little bit. I don't know.
I don't.
You don't need to cut off.
Miguel cleans it up nice enough.
But
I still sound like an incoherent airhead, but that's just me.
What I was gonna say is, all right. I think because we kind of already did a lot of the plot synopsis, since I went over the comic arcs that this movie is directly adapting in a lot of ways. I mean, there's still stuff. So I'll just open the floor to you. What did you think?
I'll take a crack at summarizing the movie.
Go ahead. You're better. You're better at this job than I ever was.
So actually, I could pee too. So maybe we'll take a quick intermission. Turtle penis in my anus. Turtle penis in my anus. Turtle penis in my anus. Semen in my colon.
Oh, please. Miguel, please clip that and loop it as like a little interlude. We're asking a lot from Miguel.
That's okay. We'll start paying him eventually.
I also like. I'm sorry if I went a little too hard. Like, feel free.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, because I've been rereading a lot of this stuff, and it was because I would like I've always been a fan, but I haven't been like this like watching and reading Turtle stuff in a while, and it felt good to go back through and check. Like, I also did the IDW comics, checked out some of the cartoons again, just as a general refresher.
You know what I always meant to do on my old show that we could maybe find an excuse to do at some point?
What?
Ken Penders. Speaking of IDW, because they do the Sonic. Where's that? Archie was the Sonic comics.
Yes. Archie also had a TMNT run that had like Mirage guys working on it as well. They never did a crossover though.
Stu, you just want an excuse for us to watch Riverdale, don't you?
What does that have to do with Riverdale?
Well,
I guess Archie comes. No, just Ken Penders is just like a weird guy, and I just find it kind of interesting.
Fun fact about Archie Sonic is that that shit got canceled partially because all of the old authors had their original contracts burned in a fire, so wanted to repitch for rights of characters again, and part of it was because Archie just wanted to fucking push Riverdale. So I'm still doing that show for that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's IDW that has Sonic now, right?
Yeah, that immediately. It was a pretty smooth transition, but that's beside the point.
IDW and Boom are like the only two that actually like do IP now. Now that Dark Horse like lost all their IP.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Oh no, I was thinking of Top Cow used to have a Tomb Raider comic.
IDW did lose Transformers recently, but TMNT and Sonic are both hanging on.
Yeah,
so.
who the fuck is Transformers now? Isn't it?
I think it's Marvel again. I don't know.
No, it's not Marvel.
Let me check. Boo. There is no current G.I. Joe or Transformers. Hasbro's doing a real good job managing that brand, right? Like, man, it's so fucking stupid that they're still like, it's kind of Bayformers and kind of not with the new Beast Wars movie. And it's like fucking either do like if you're not gonna have Bay and the people again, just fucking reboot the continuity.
Wait, have you watched? Because it's so before your time in terms of like when it was actually on TV. Have you watched Beast Wars?
No, I've seen a bit, but I have not.
I loved that show as a little kid. I've
seen a bit of Armada, and I watched a shit ton of animated as a kid. I've heard good things about Prime as well.
I see. The thing about Beast Wars is I didn't know what the Transformers were.
Okay, so I actually know that from lore-wise. Would you like to know? So,
I know now. It's like they landed on Earth a billion years ago. Like I remember learning about the Transformers, stumbling across old toys, and my big sister would mention it because she was an '80s kid. And like they had a plot at one point in Beast Wars where it's like they dug up an Autobot, and it was like being like 6, 7, or 8 years old and like piecing together like, oh, this is related to this other thing that I didn't know.
Because basically the first episode of G1 is they leave, they go crash on Earth in ancient times, and then they're stuck there for a million years, and it turns out in between the 2 points, there's a whole show that happened.
Yeah, or they were the Predacons and prime mammals. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
But yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, turtles.
Yeah,
we gotta talk more turtle talk, please.
Time to talk about the actual fucking movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this actual movie.
So the movie opens and it's this like hazy.
I love
hot.
This movie.
Yeah, New York's just kind of like it has a little like a Lethal Weapon energy or something, almost like that kind of like crime action movie feel in its opening. And what I love is like the Foot Clan, the scary Japanese Yakuza ninjas have arrived in New York. They've Shredder's just recruiting latchkey kids to become ninjas.
Which
so that
they can
steal,
it's great.
so they can like steal TVs out of the backs of vans. And that's kind of like the only crime they do.
You get to see the redheaded kid. What's his name? Just Danny. Like steal an old lady. Yeah, steal an old lady's wallet.
And
it's like the way this movie treats juvenile delinquency is so serious. Like it's like a 40s noir movie, but like all the gangsters are like 13-year-old boys who are dressed in like the most like late 80s, early 90s dreads you can like imagine.
They all look like John Connor's friends from Terminator 2.
One,
they do.
The Foot Clan
that's spot on.
The Foot Clan being mostly teenagers that Shredder's grooming is a thing exclusive to this movie.
They should bring it back.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad idea. The other thing is, I always assumed that like the TV and stuff was okay. We need to get the teenagers hooked and hang out with me and like devote their lives and distract them before we can start really getting into real fucking crime,
smuggling heroin or whatever it is they're actually going to do.
Yeah.
I love that they have like an awesome hangout that's like an arcade. But the arcade is also a skateboard park where people are like skateboarding on ramps above the arcade. Or if you fall, you're just gonna like snap the neck of a dude playing Narc.
Yeah, not a phone in sight, just guys hanging out.
You know what that place always reminded me of? The fucked up.
It's a Tony Hawk level.
Well, the fucked up it's the modern version of the fucked up amusement park / slave camp from Pinocchio.
Oh, what's that place? No, I'm thinking of, what was it, Sin Island?
I don't remember.
I haven't seen Pinocchio, so I was
kids get turned. Continue.
Yeah. And then, we've got our intrepid reporter, April O'Neil, with her, like, peak. She's got, like, that, like, late 80s female lead physiognomy that you don't really see anymore, with, like, a kind of like really defined bone structure and the perm. Like, you don't see the perms anymore.
Judith, shout out to Judith Hogg, or Hogue. I'm notoriously the one who mispronounces it all the time, but like, she was just so charming and so
she's
very
charismatic in this movie.
She has like the most like gorgeous smile.
Yeah, she does not
perfect teeth.
She's not come back for the sequels because they did not want to give her the right amount of money. She wanted to come back.
They're a lot. Because I mean,
fuck you, filmmakers.
You know, like
you lost a dime.
Most of the cast of this
a dime
movie are animatronics and a guy in a mask. So you need her and Casey Jones to be endearing actors and characters because they're the only like actual human beings you're looking at for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think they're both quite good. I think they're both very watchable and very delivering at the level of the material in the right way.
Yeah, they get good like screwball comedy style, like flirting back and forth banter. Like, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I think specifically the little exchange at the farmhouse, like just before he sits down on the bench, that just completely falls.
Do you think that was like meant to happen, or like they didn't tell him it was going to happen because he seems genuinely surprised.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he kind of looks around like, what?
He seems like really genuinely caught off guard by that.
Shitty fucking like farmhouse swing porch. Yeah, that could be.
It's a great set. Actually, also, I like that farm, our farm interlude a lot.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I can talk about this now. Just bring up. Hey, you do an MCU movie podcast. Have you ever heard of another movie where at the end of the second act, after our main heroes get their asses kicked, a ally who has not been in the movie before turns out to have a secret farmhouse where the heroes can rest and recover?
Yeah, Mystery Men.
Fuck you, Josh.
One of the Arrow crossovers does that.
Ultron.
Yeah, no, it's the best part of Age of Ultron. Is just stolen from.
Literally,
it is. Yeah, you're right.
No, specifically, Andy, what you're referring to is the part where Chris Evans rips a log in half, and that is the best part of Age of Ultron.
Well, that's in the
Yeah, Nicole had to buy a new chair after that episode.
I'm not Adam Friedland like shitting on a chair.
I didn't say shit.
I can control.
No, not
I know, but I can control myself.
No, you can't.
Okay.
No, you can't. We have an entire channel. We have an entire channel on the Discord server that we're in right now that's like you thirsting over Chris Evans.
It is, yeah. Well, it's a containment zone, but anyways, yeah.
It's not contained.
Proceed with.
So yeah, intrepid reporter April O'Neil and her kind of hapless tool boss, whose shitty kid is being groomed into the Foot Clan.
I can take her away.
It's just I went down to Japantown and all the Japanese are telling me how there's this gang of ninjas stealing all of our radios. And this is a big story I need to report on. And the boss is like, no.
And there's also the shitty angry cop. I love the
the balding
police chief.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the unhelpful and this I like that this movie has that attitude,
characters,
just apathy towards characters first of all, but complete apathy towards cops. They're just a bunch of slovenly pigs.
Yeah, the cops are not
sit around,
useful or helpful in this movie
at all.
Which is surprising for something from 1990 that's at least halfway aimed at kids and adolescents.
Yeah. I'm actually really shocked this movie didn't start with "Winners Don't Do Drugs."
No, I swear, my VHS copy, which was one of those red box clamshells when I was a kid, I think from the first run of the initial VHS release. I swear to God, it had some kind of PSA at the start of it, and I don't know if it was about drugs or AIDS, but
that's also a fun.
Winners don't get AIDS.
If there's a cut of this movie that opens with an AIDS disclaimer,
I don't remember. I have this hazy memory. I think there's a Michael Jordan or some famous basketball player is sitting down.
God, that would be so funny
to talk to the camera. I might be getting several different memories mixed up, but I swear my copy of this movie started with some kind of PSA that was very 1990.
Hey kids, don't fuck a turtle. You might get AIDS.
VHS copy from this movie. Fun legal thing is that you know how there's Domino's in this movie.
Yes, but it was most of the marketing was done by Pizza Hut.
They Pizza Hut had an ad before this on the VHS.
And then they order Domino's in the movie. That's really funny.
Yeah,
that's a failure of corporate synergy they would never allow these days.
No, well, that's just fucking. It was the fast food wars back then. Shit was crazy.
Was. Speaking of sponsored food, did you guys ever have the Batman calzone from Little Caesars? It was actually really
one that was.
No. I've been to Little Caesars once.
I've seen the pizza they did, the Joker Batman pizza they did for the 80 or the Batman.
Oh yeah, that was a bit that someone made, I think.
Oh, that was fake. Okay, I fell for it.
Yeah, the burnt it had a burnt it was a black pizza.
Yeah, it was a black pizza with
I am conjuring some ancient memory of a Batman logo shaped pizza. I think it was for Forever or Batman and Robin, maybe.
I had a pizza for dinner tonight to get in the mood.
What kind of pizza did you get?
I should order pizza tonight.
I want to order.
No, it's just a frozen for me. It's pretty good.
We're just a bunch of fucking turtles.
I'm unusually flush with cash lately, and I might treat myself to a pizza.
Can I get a pizza?
And a TV.
Can I take the money out of the Patreon to buy a pizza?
Those are two things that like our turtles love the most. They love TV and they love pizza.
Well, who doesn't?
They love breaking out into
weed.
dance to tequila, which that was I think.
Oh yeah,
that
they do
was a
love to
scene where
spontaneously dance.
I paused and I was just like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
Yeah, it's great. It's a little quirky indie movie.
It's a little quirky indie movie, but
that's based
like,
on these
'90s Gen X teens. You know, they're always busting out dancing to the song from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to remember what else that song is in.
Yeah.
That song is in Baby Driver.
I've never seen
anyway,
that. You're not missing much.
Plot synopsis: the turtles. April is mugged by the Foot Clan. The head thug of which played by Sam Rockwell.
Oh yeah, baby Sam Rockwell.
That's so weird.
Baby
oh
boy.
My god.
Yeah, he's in this movie. It's
I
Sam Rockwell, and I
did not recognize him
and while I have it on my mind, we cannot. I don't think we've specifically said Elias Koteas plays Casey Jones about 5 or 6 years before he'd get his ass eaten by James Spader in Crash. So that was as soon as I realized he was in the movie, my mind just instantly went towards that. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
No wonder he was into some freaky shit. He was hanging out with a bunch of fucking turtles.
Yeah, they had huge turtle dicks.
The turtles save April. They break a light and they beat him up, and then. But
pretty good
in the scuffle.
Pretty good intro scene. Also, I think a little reminiscent, but it was mid-production, so not intentionally, of how they introduced Batman in '89, where it's like they come in shadow, you just kind of get a glimpse of them. Yeah, they smash that light, and everything sort of happens in shadow. Pretty good.
This movie has a lot of similarities for being mid-production with both '89 and like the movies that followed '89 formula, like Blade, where it's okay. We're past the origin, but we're still in year one against the main antagonist. Our main point of view character is a human lady who is getting dragged through this world. The final villain of this movie is a guy who has history because they killed or had a history with a parental figure that are of our main heroes. Like there's
Hellboy, the first Del Toro Hellboy movie also uses it's just a solid framing for this kind of movie. You got your character, that human character that kind of takes into the world. Your kind of like initial 5-10 issue arc gives you like a movie plot's worth of material and structure. Like it just makes a lot of sense.
But I love. So then they go back, and I have the goof off, and Raph leaves because he's pissed because he lost one of his size.
He lost his dagger.
and he also swears. So then he goes out to see a movie. He goes to see Critters, which I believe one of the writers or something worked on.
Yeah, I noticed that. I going to see Critters.
I loved that scene kind of because like I noted this in my Letterboxd review, but it was also just because I was a big like Muppets kid growing up, so like the first thing all the turtles remind me of like big giant Kermit the Frogs.
The trench coat and the hat. It's
the trench coat, it was just like, oh, he looks like Kermit. First of all, like I mean, like a contemporary superhero movie would never do something like that because your mind is like, like this is obviously a fucking giant.
Yeah, it is funny. Just have a trench coat and a fedora, and no one notices he's a turtle until he takes the hat off.
Nobody's looking at it.
Casey Jones says, like, take off your green makeup.
I wonder if that's a reference
or something along those lines.
I wonder if it's a reference to The Thing. It's Fantastic Four because he was
looking like Humphrey Bogart in that getup.
But
The Thing was a huge. But, yeah, he would wear that fit when he would go outside.
What's the deal with The Thing's penis?
We don't have enough time to talk about that because that would require hours.
We'll get to the Fantastic Four someday, I'm sure.
Yeah, I saw the first movie. Well, not the Roger Corman one, but I saw the first Tim Story one in theaters as a kid.
I remember almost nothing from those movies. They're just kind of
They're not good.
Yeah.
No.
We should do the Roger. You guys should do the Roger.
That would. I think we've been kicking that around since we started.
It's like better than you think it is, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then they Raph stop some purse snatchers who are stealing an old lady's purse. They run into the park because they're scared and get the shit kicked out of them by Casey Jones. He and Raph are like, no, don't fucking violently beat kids in vigilante justice. So they have a fight.
Beat kids.
Kids on the beat. Kids on the street. Beat kids. Beat kids.
I this feels like a shonen anime encounter. I guess you do it a lot in Western comics. So you're just like the two people who are going to be allies have a rivalry and a fight when they first meet.
That's Stan Lee shit right there. He invented that.
It is. It is.
Oh.
He did a little bit. You gotta have the two guys fight and then come to a draw before you.
And then you never tell anyone who's stronger. Never do that.
Exactly. If they know that, they'll kill themselves.
Yeah, two queens fighting.
Just a guy doming himself because Superman loses to Goku.
No, you don't understand.
that would be
power scalers.
That would actually be me.
That shit is life and death. Anyway,
you gotta be ready for that.
So
you gotta be ready to die for that shit.
Raph throws a fucking hissy fit, runs past the taxi of the guy who's in his suit. That's the actor in the anyway. Does the loudest scream in movie history. You see that shit from fucking airplanes going to LaGuardia. I could hear that. Goes back in the sewer, has pep talk from Dad, being like, "Look, I understand you're angry, but you gotta learn to chant.
You gotta calm
you
your places."
Oh, and I think we skipped over before that.
Mikey and Donna.
Not Splinter. I always get their names. Yeah, Splinter. I always get them confused
both
because
keep
like
saying
Shredder, like I think
Shredder
of like
and
a
Splinter
rat with
interchangeably.
Because
they do. There are names that kind of have similar syllables and evoke similar concepts of like tearing and piercing.
Well, but what I was saying was earlier in the movie, like one of the first scenes, actually, Splinter is like talking to the turtles like, "Hey, I'm getting older. I'm not going to be here forever. You guys are going to have to fend for yourselves one day." Like, so there's this like real, sense of like mortality being hammered in to these giant walking turtles by this animatronic rat puppet. But it's treated so seriously despite like the cartoony sound effects here and there.
There's a clear theme in this movie about like finding family and learning to appreciate the family you have, and that's why critics at the time shat on this movie and said it was about nothing.
Well, no, it's like pretty classic stuff for this kind of movie.
But
it is interesting that like
Clan is doing the voice.
It has like a 40 on Rotten Tomato.
The voice?
The Foot Clan is doing the Asian guy voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we glossed over that. We need to talk about how the Foot Clan are racist.
You want to let... So you know, like Tatsu, who's like the big main bald Asian guy who's like managing all the kids?
Yes.
They're Temple of Dooming him. He cannot speak English at all.
Oh, so it was like a phonetically...
Yeah.
Reading his lines. Amazing.
Yep. It's okay.
It's like that one actress in Shin Godzilla.
Also, Cole, now that since you brought up racism, do you want to talk about Black April now?
Oh, yeah. So,
Black
from what
April.
I understand, one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle creators was getting some strange fruit.
Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, he had a black girlfriend. He had a black girlfriend who was on his Ralph Bakshi shit.
Some of the drawings of April are kind of mixed. She has like a perm going on, like an 80s girl, and it's she's white, but she's drawn kind of dark-skinned at times. I have no problem with Black April. I think if you do it, like obviously a lot of people on Twitter rant and fucking rave like it's the end of the fucking world, but
Ooh, speaking of which, you guys, this is I just curiously searched April O'Neil Black. And first thing, this is an article from Cosmic Book News, the reputable website, Cosmic Book News. Headline, TMNT, April O'Neil is white, not black. Hollywood loves to replace characters with red hair, of which there can be no doubt. Woke Hollywood is back at it and has replaced another red-haired character with a POC. Some people have real problems. Some countries have war. Matt McLowan.
I get that. I get that way. I get that way over like two characters. It's usually just Mary Jane. It's like Mary Jane has to be a redhead and white. The rest, take it or leave it.
Have they ever done that with Jean Grey? Have they ever done Black Jean Grey?
No, because I think that would actually cause it. I think Black Jean Grey would cause a riot. I think that would get. I would love to do that as like a bit, and then get shot.
Black women can destroy universes too.
Oh yeah. Okay. So then the next day after the pep talk, Raph goes and tails April at the subway station. The Foot Clan try and kill her because she's reporting on it. So Raph beats them up with the same face on the expression, what I like to call the Mirage action face, because that's the face they make a lot in the comics, and it's what the original action figures had of the Turtles. They all have that same sort of scowl.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. Brings her back to
she just kind of faints because she's like, holy shit, ninjas and a giant talking turtle.
Yeah, well, and one of them just like slaps her and then like hits her on the, but it's not like that. Anyway, take her back to the lair. Splinter tells her half of the backstory and saves the other half for later.
And that's where we get the adorable little rat puppet in his cage doing karate
and then
moves.
The horrifying
the stop
baby
motion
mutant turtle.
Baby
no,
turtles.
They're not even stop motion. They're just like horrifying. I don't even know how to describe them. They look kind of stop
motion to me. But they just, what is it? They just immediately start baby talking about like pizza.
Yeah.
Cowabunga, dude.
I like the bit that they have in this movie where they keep trying to, like, the Turtles keep trying to come up with cornier one-liners with each other.
Yeah, like they're actively like riffing, but in a way that feels in character, not like they're doing it for the audience.
Mirage TMNT and a lot of like the stuff Laird worked on, and it's very clear that like, oh, he made them teenagers for one issue and then regretted it, because a lot of times, a lot of incarnations treat the Turtles like they're mostly in their early 20s instead, which works, but you know.
It's not like they're called the Teenage
Ninja Turtles.
Glad you're able to riff off that very quickly.
And I mean, this is kind of where the movie sort of goes. We get kind of a series of action sequences. Splinter's captured. They're hiding out at April's house. There's a big siege and a standoff. So honestly, pretty solid fight choreography for the resources this movie had, and the fact it's a bunch of guys in suits who can't see.
So I mentioned in the comics that Leonardo got the shit kicked out of him when the Shredder came back. In this movie, they decided to make it Raph instead, which I work better. And
he's kind of the more temperamental one.
Given the production history, this movie it's right on the cusp. It was either this or the comics that really was the first script thing to really cement the. Oh, that's great. To cement the right. I'm a dog guy, but I just won't let that know. Not judging. Cement the Raph Leo rivalry, because it happened at the same time this movie's script was written.
Yeah.
So Raph gets his shit kicked. It's very funny, though, to look at this movie of, one, Raph goes out in broad daylight, and two, the ninjas decide, let's, jump an apartment complex in New York in the middle of, at, noon. That's a good time to do crimes.
That's
in
a
broad
good
daylight.
kitty. Sorry, Andy.
That's a big boy.
This is Sammy.
Sammy's a big boy.
Sammy's a big boy.
they throw him, and then after they beat the shit out of Raph, they throw him through like the light roof on top. Break into the apartment, fight for a little bit. It's pretty fun. There's some corny sound effects in there, but it works.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like it's a movie that is sort of, and it's hard to explain. This is the thing I have trouble trying to articulate, because it's in some ways a subtle distinction where you've got an overly, like we talked about this in our Logan episode with the Zack Snyder movies, where you kind of have you've got this, like, on one hand you've got kind of the, for lack of a better word, soy Marvel thing, where everything is sort of like it's not really ironic, it's just sort of got this like self-consciousness about how silly it is, where like it wants you to take it seriously, but it's obvious the people making it kind of have contempt for the material and kind of feel like they need to disavow it even as they do it to give themselves permission to do it or enjoy it. And you've got like we have to elevate it and make it mature and dark in a way that kind of comes off just sort of adolescent.
By the way,
in its attempt to be adult.
I'm assuming Cole's brought it up. I listened to Wonder Woman episode. I remember he referenced it. I am on your side of, I don't really like BVS that much. I know Cole likes that movie. Continue.
And then like, so this kind of thing is kind of comes up because it's not like it's like taking itself seriously, but it's not embarrassed of itself. It's just kind of like it's playing it straight, but not without the basic self-awareness of like what it is and what it's. I don't know. It's like a weird thing to try and
it's like
explain. Like it's
like I don't know. Like you can't really blame.
It's like it knows it's corny, but it's
distancing.
It knows that it's corny and a bit silly, but it's not trying to distance itself from that or elevate or like it doesn't have like pretensions or like weird self-effacement about it. And it's just like, it's a corny, silly movie about turtles, and we're gonna have some real emotional stakes, and it just is what it is.
A lot of this was because this movie also had 3 editors, one of which is Sally Menke.
Yes, for Quentin Tarantino, and she got fired off
she
the production?
did the editing for Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bills, Death Proof, and Inglourious Basterds.
Hell of it. Oh yeah, that's coming off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That's a good trajectory.
That's a good fucking.
She secured her bag after they let her go.
I think she might have done 1 or 2 things in between. I was just going over the Tarantino stuff because that's the important. Yeah, she did a few things in between this and Reservoir Dogs. Anyway, so then they fall through the floorboards because they keep getting cut with Foot Clan. Keeps cutting them with axes. They land on the first floor. Tatsu and a bunch of the other like ninja guys, Foot Clan members, are attacking them. They start losing bad, but in comes through the savior of the day, Casey Jones, who gets them up. However, there's then an electrical problem because the wiring in the apartment's bad because it's a shitty building in 80s New York.
Not up to code. The whole building. It's a pretty solid set piece fight for the turning midpoint of the movie. Yeah, it's a solid soundtrack. It's just a generally like it's not like a movie. It's like, oh, you've got to go watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies last night. But it's just like consistently, solidly well crafted. And
yes, very, very professional. Like a lot of the sets remind me a lot of like the Warriors and other stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like it is that. Like it has a little bit of grit to it, just in a visual sense, texture.
The sets in this movie, I feel like, are what like Miller's Daredevil run imagined Hell's Kitchen to look like.
Boss is fucking raw!
Where it's cartoony a little bit, but very like it's an exaggerated sort of gritty.
Yeah, that's
charming.
Yeah, oh totally.
That's what's completely missing from this slot of like contemporary Marvel movies. just like that, like one of the things we constantly touch upon, one of the, like, particularly as it relates to like our big thesis for the show, which is that 9/11 ruined superhero movies, because like there's just like there has to be like a air of realism to everything now, in a way that like the, you know, pre-Iron Man, specifically, like especially your pre 9/11, like your Batman 89, this, where they completely embraced the cartoony, like fictitious, elevated nature and incorporated that into like the style itself without that need to like remove itself or, you know, constantly lampshading itself like, oh, this is very silly, isn't it? Like that self-aggrandizing
lampshading.
Sort of
that's the problem. It's not that things aren't self-aware or nor they're silly or corny. It's that need to like really obviously explicitly acknowledge it, so the audience is like, yeah, I'm smart, and me and the writer both know how silly this is, and now we need to do that to give ourselves permission to enjoy it. I'm sick of lampshades.
They drive to not New Hampshire as North Carolina, and then we get my favorite shot in this fucking movie, which is, so Raph's still unconscious after like an 8-hour drive or plus. And they just throw him into a fucking disconnected bathtub.
Yeah, he's just in a bathtub, like curled up in a fetal position.
I guess
and at one point, April's just like dripping water onto him because turtles need water.
He's out for a while, and then it's a bunch of like little vignettes of us, of the turtles kind of healing and just like taking some time on to recuperate.
Yeah, this is also where we just kind of hit the apex point with our little character arcs, and everybody gets to know each other and resolves to fight the big battle and kind of hangs out around. I just kind of like the chilling out at the farmhouse, getting the old truck going. Just it's a nice kind of atmosphere, and again, a little bit of a hangout mode for a few minutes.
Whole hog stole it for another movie.
Yeah,
maybe.
Oh, and then they have the They all kind of have like a prayer seance around a campfire, and they get like a Force Ghost vision of Splinter telling him how proud he is of them,
and that they are ready to.
And they've learned the value of family and cooperation.
And meanwhile, back in New York, Splinter's getting his fucking ass beaten in.
He's
chained to a wall and tortured. It's like
it's pretty brutal. They're like doing some. That's like aside from like Miss Piggy karate chopping Kermit, that's like the most like fucked up I've seen a Muppet.
They're doing Gitmo shit to that puppet.
Yeah,
and also while that's happening, I also like. After Shredder comes back, he's like, "What the fuck do you mean you lost? How did they get away?" And then Tatsu goes, because his boss is mad at him. He like knocks out one of the kids, and there's like an immediate vibe of like, "What the fuck do? We can we check to a hospital? Like, what? This is not going great."
Yeah, like, when a bunch of the kids start realizing, like, "Oh, this might suck. This might not just be all." Stealing TVs and playing narc and skateboarding
and smoking. Don't forget about smoking.
Oh yeah, there's like the one shot of like the 10-year-old kid like shooting pool with a cigar in his mouth.
I totally missed that. That's hysterical.
That's some shit that I would be on as a 15 or as a 10-year-old.
No, it's yeah. So then the turtles, after their vision. Oh, also, meanwhile, we get some nice like flirting and banter between Casey and April on the farm. It's charming. So
they have genuine chemistry in it, and it goes a long way because they don't really have that much actual screen time together.
Yeah, and they replace April in the second movie and cut Casey entirely. He's in the third movie, but he basically just has to be. So in the third movie, they time travel and go back to ancient Japan. But they swap places with some actual Japanese samurai, so he just has to like babysit them in modern day and does nothing. And the third movie fucking sucks. The third movie is worse than any movie you have talked about on the podcast so far.
Man, that's pretty bad. We've talked about some shitty movies.
Thor 2 again over fucking TMNT 3. Okay, let me give you a pitch. Okay. Characters in the movie say and then act out the line, "It's Wet Willy time."
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's when you like suck on someone's like finger or your own, then stick it in their ear.
You stick it in your ear. It's a really awful
and
feeling.
Then they sing, and then two turtles each stick a finger into a guy's ear. In that, and that movie sucks.
I've had those done to me once or twice in my.
Was it by your little sister?
No, she wasn't that type. She my little sister would be like, this is the story my grandma always tells, just sitting in the car next to me and going, "Ty, give me your arm. Ty, give me your arm," so that she could give me a snake bite, like where you turn and they call it. Now I just can't say that anymore. But
you're canceled.
That was the only other term I could think of for it.
Yeah, you probably said the worst things out of all.
You're fired from the podcast you co-founded.
Damn, that's crazy. We have an episode with Nicole, and you're saying the worst stuff too.
They have a whole episode about the racist Family Guy casino episode, so don't worry.
I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest one here, therefore I'm the most racist and out of touch.
Which was the style at the time.
So then the turtles go back to New York. Danny's in the lair. He goes to meet up with Splinter because he feels guilty and wants answers. Splinter tells him how he used to live with a human owner, but then the Shredder fucking killed him. So he was an orphan instead. And the other folk figure out where the turtles are. They go to ambush them. Also, Casey's sleeping in the car because he makes a claustrophobia joke that I think is supposed to be a gay joke, but I'm not sure because it's weird.
Oh, yeah. No, yes. Someone says something about him being claustrophobic. He's like, I don't like dudes.
Yeah, that's a really weird. That's a really funny joke.
I think he's dumb and illiterate joke more than it is a homophobic joke in and of itself.
If to be fair, 80s New Yorker vigilantes are probably the exact market for dumb right-wing shithead. So then they have a fun fight scene in the
Casey Jones has probably said the N-word.
I don't know. I think Casey Jones is a left-wing anarchist. I think he's a lot like Gritty. I think he's an icon
there's
of
the
podcast is now over.
Yeah, I can't even bring myself to follow through on that riff. I already just feel queasy and awful.
If I said that on the podcast, Spencer and Ty would already have the clubs out and start hitting.
That's the benefit of seniority.
So then they have a fight. They end up on the roof as they keep beating up the go from the roof to New York City level or street level, then end up on rooftop, and then we get to the Shredder fight, which is pretty good. They fight him one by one. Oh, also Casey beats the shit out of Katsu, and then all of them go back to where the turtles are.
I like that you know the name of the main henchman, because I certainly
they don't. I don't think they say it in this movie. I think it's because there is a comic adaptation of this, and they might say it in there. It might be in some of the video games he's in. But yeah, it's definitely his name is not in that movie. It might be, but anyway. So they fight, and then they get their asses kicked by Shredder, and then they fight them all at once, and they still get their asses kicked at Shredder. But Shredder doesn't fight with his claws in this movie. He uses a spear. I imagine because that's kind of impractical in live action with the suit setup they have.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
So they give him a cool spear.
So decent. The Shredder costume's pretty solid.
It's great.
I think, though.
I like the purple. It really works. So then he gets Leonardo at speed point. The turtles throw away their weapons. One of Mikey's nunchucks lands on a ladder. That's important. And he's about to kill Leonardo, but then boom, Dad shows up. Splinter's on the roof.
Yay! He's very haggard looking.
Yeah, and he has a conversation.
He looks like shit.
With
no riz.
It's great. And he has
none whatsoever.
Tells Shredder who he is, and Shredder takes his mask off, and there's a big fucking scar from
where a pre-mutated Splinter bit him.
And charges at him with the spear.
He hates that rat.
Splinter grabs the nunchuck that Mikey left behind, flips him over so he is hanging over the roof somehow.
It's insane.
And yeah, this like decrepit old rat is just holding this armored big guy up by this spear.
This decrepit rat of unusual size that really looks like it's just been like dunked into a toilet a few times. Like he's got that energy. Bit. Like he's been Guantanamo'd for the past week.
And Splinter and Shredder, while he's being held up, throws a knife at Splinter while he's monologuing. Splinter catches it, drops him, falls into a trash can.
Yes.
Or a dumpster.
No, it's like a truck, a garbage truck.
It is a truck.
Because it's got the compactor.
Yeah, Casey goes, whoops, and activates the fucking trash compactor, kills Shredder.
Crushes him.
And he's alive in the second movie. And then at the end of the action sequence at the end of the no, it's not Worms. It's just there's you see an arm come out of the garbage, implying that he survived it. He has a stupid, like, his helmet, similar costume, but he has a much bigger, more open helmet. I don't like his suit in the second movie. It's not terrible. But anyway, the end of the second movie, after surviving a garbage compactor, at the end of the second movie, he drinks a bunch of the mutagen and becomes Super Shredder. And he's big and terrifying, and he's shot in the dark, and he chases the turtles along a dock on Coney Island, and then he gets crushed by a dock, and that's how he dies.
Wait, he gets crushed by a dock?
That's lame. Yeah, nothing beats getting crushed to death in a garbage
industrial
truck.
Equipment don't really go fucking well.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
He should stay away from that
series,
stuff.
He gets a water tower dropped on him.
He should fucking not be around a Harbor Freight.
And Danny is reunited with his father, and the last one-liner of the movie is Splinter saying "Cowabunga," which I quite like. And then the credits roll, and then there's the Ninja Rat by Partners in Crime.
Partners in Crime. Okay.
It wasn't the MC Hammer. Where was the MC Hammer song featured?
That's when you see the footlair for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And,
okay, so that's when it's Hammer time.
And I really like this movie. I think
this was fun. It's cute.
Because I really like the Mirage comics. I think they're better. I think in a lot of ways, because the 03 series that Peter Laird also worked on and was made by 4Kids Entertainment. It's crazy to think there are Zoomers who might be listening to this podcast who don't know what 4Kids is.
Oh no!
I think they know. They know.
Well, like the Ninja Turtles, there's kids and there's 4 of them.
So they and they adapt some of the Mirage stories, and I kind of think you could argue they do those better. But I still really like this movie. It's a really good.
It's
just solidly crafted throughout, and that makes something that might otherwise be kind of unappealing or hard to watch enjoyable. Like a good hangover movie, airplane movie. Or, you've got to entertain a nephew or something. Throw it on.
I appreciated it more than anything. Like, just especially because I'm comparing it to the slop we have to watch for our podcast, where it's just like, it's 2.5 hours of someone standing in front of a green screen, and like this was. I don't think we mentioned it on air, but this was like one of the last theatrical project Jim Henson worked on before he died. Like the movie came out a month and a half after or before he died.
Technically, Dinosaurs came out after this, and that was the last thing that had his name on it.
Yeah, like just end to end, it just has craftsmanship, cinematography, sets, and animatronics, and costumes.
And even when you can see like the lower budget, like there are some very obvious like matte backdrops. Like it's still like movies of this we're not gonna get another Ninja Turtles movie where they're like guys in suits. That's not happening anytime soon. And
they're gonna be kind of like computer generated roid freaks.
Well, to look at, and sometimes if the guys in the suits open their mouths too big, you can actually see the like actor's like face in there, and that's kind of horrifying. But it's like. There's a substance and it's tactile, and you can look at it and appreciate the craft and not think about all of the poor underpaid and overworked like VFX artists in like Singapore being like abused.
We're actually getting the next theatrical Turtles reboot, because the last one was 2016. It's fully animated. It's going for kind of the Spider-Verse technique, but it looks very different.
It's firmly now at Nickelodeon. I think it's now firmly like a Nickelodeon IP.
Viacom bought them out in like 20, and it's been a Nickelodeon IP since the buyout in 09. But they've done an okay job. You know,
they're
definitely worse.
As I said earlier, like I clocked a lot of sort of the like youth culture that like this movie depicts as being very like in hand with that, like, you know, Nickelodeon kids mindset of like the late 80s, the early 90s. So it makes a lot of sense that the Ninja Turtles have found like a second wave to their career through like
this is more
Nickelodeon.
Like the fourth wave, but yes.
Or like the fourth or
there's
fifth wave,
a CG series from a few years ago that seemed
that was
okay
Nickelodeon.
that my oldest nephew was pretty into.
It's
funny because like my older sister and my nephews really like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but just kind of skipped over me.
I mean, obviously, I'm a lady, so I never got into it as a child. I was busy watching like Sailor Moon and Powerpuff Girls.
Well, it wasn't really in the zeitgeist in like the late 90s, early 2000s that much. I mean, there was that CG movie like 04, 06 or something.
The 03 show did get 7 seasons.
You're forgetting that. But it was...
Cole, you finished this movie literally right before we started recording.
Literally.
Oh yeah, we haven't had a lot of you in the episode.
Yeah, no, I've just been letting you guys cook, you know.
You're thinking about the reason you're in jail.
I'm thinking, that, and I also, even though I saw some of the cartoon, I don't really have a lot of background with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was never really my scene. I was a Power Rangers kid, so once we get to Power Rangers 2017.
Oh yeah, I was really into Power Rangers.
I'll come the 2017 movie.
It's going to be a 4-hour episode. And it's just going to be us getting mad.
What did you think of this movie on the whole?
This was a enjoyable flick. You know, it was perfectly. It was like Logan. It was perfectly okay. If it came on, I wouldn't turn it off.
See, I think I probably enjoyed this more than Logan, but
I also did. I would give it around the similar range of scores.
I liked Logan more just because it was like, you know, like I know roll our eyes, but it was more like an adult thing. Like I'm sorry. I will take guys ripping people's like throats out and having bloody over kind of like a goofy kids fight. Like it's a solid 3 stars heart. Like this is the kind of movie I would like love to put on if I'm like babysitting some kids. Like it's not like I'm watching a Minions movie where I'm just like the entire time thinking about different ways to like stab myself in the jugular and die as quickly as possible.
I think that's a good way of putting it, because in like letterbox terms is like you've got like a 3-star. You've got a 3-star movie, and then the 3-star and the heart. I liked it movie.
Honestly, and I said this in
this is the 3-star with the heart.
I like. I think of them roughly equal in terms overall, but honestly, if you put this a DVD copy of this next to a copy of 89, I'm taking this over that.
Oh, well, that's how I watched that's how I watched it. I picked up a copy of this movie, a DVD copy at like one of my local thrift stores as a Yankee swap. I hosted a Christmas party, and the theme was we're giving each of us the cringiest things we could find. So I like picked up like that. There was like a Minions mug, a Lola Bunny Space Jam jersey. Yeah, that one went
90s Lola Bunny or the desexed recent one.
Well, it's the same uniform.
The middle Looney Tunes show.
Oh, it's not like a picture. I it
was like a giant
picture
jersey
of her on it or something.
But anyway. So I watched it on DVD. So yeah, Andy, if you want, I can mail you my copy.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me fucking go off on this franchise.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
It was really fun coming on. It's really nice being able to talk about this.
Do we even need to plug Andy's podcast?
well, before plug, I just want to say one. Like, I think of Ninja Turtles and Transformers in very similar ways in that they're both like the 80s toyetic franchise that like got to live. Because like G.I. Joe, Thundercats, and He-Man get like pulled out every once in a while, but they are still like 80s nostalgia things, even if there's been reboots in between them and the 80s thing. It is strictly that. Whereas Turtles,
which is upsetting because G.I. Joe is fantastic. Like,
yeah, I know there's a lot of the Marvel comics from back in there, right? Or at least what I've heard. But what I was going to say is that like the reason why I bring that up is that like I feel like I'm surrounded much more by Transformers fans than Turtles fans. So it's good to have a place to
the Transformers autism is strong, especially on Twitter.
Oh yeah, but it's good to be able to vamp about this stuff because it's really fun. And yeah, go. Oh, you know what you can plug because obviously go listen to those good old fashioned.
Yeah, please. It's a great podcast. It's really funny.
But also go listen to. My schedule's going to be kind of weird when this episode goes live, so I won't be doing it super consistently. But go check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AnonKaiju, all one word, lowercase. I try to stream twice a week, one midweek stream Tuesday through Thursday, and then one stream either Saturday or Sunday, usually Saturday, but it depends on work. I mostly stream retro bullshit, but
I sometimes show up on those as well.
Yeah, you do. And sometimes I show up on cold streams.
I have appeared both those places at times also.
Yes.
Is there any... we like this movie. I don't really need to do a watch something else.
Yeah.
Although
this is not a watch something else called...
You know, no, I know I've mentioned this before, but I mean, same year, Darkman. Fun,
if you want to do a
superhero adjacent movie.
If you want to do a double feature with this, The Warriors would probably kick ass.
Oh, great movie! I need to rewatch that.
Not my favorite.
I don't think I've seen
that.
My favorite hill is Streets of Fire. I fucking love that.
I need to watch that at some point.
I watched Switchblade Sisters the other day, and that's a Jack Hill.
No,
Jack Hill.
Or Jack Hill. Oh no, okay. Excuse me. All right. Anyways, if I recommend
Nicole's
something,
been
I'll
fired from the podcast,
and hopefully I'll be on
canceled
relatively soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're totally welcome to come back.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also R.I.P. Cole's account.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, thank you everybody for listening and supporting the show. If you'd like to throw some money our way, get some bonus episodes, Discord exclusive watch parties and events, patreon.com/Marvelous Death. And also, rate, review on your preferred podcast distributing thing. Follow us on Twitter at Marvelous Death. Just give us free promotion and money.
Yeah,
money.
It's the least you can do.
Especially money.
Yeah, let's thank our patrons. So thank you to Owen Pritchard, Clyde, Jordan Marsh, Sean Burns, Jean Paul, Tank Buster, Jack Donald, Jack, who has won the first patron.
Oh yeah, the
raffle. Fucking Jack.
I'm gonna fucking blow up your house.
Every time we say Jack, we're gonna have to use that clip. But we're gonna be watching Valerian, or what's the full fucking title of the movie? With fucking Dane DeHaan and Cara. Yeah, two of the worst actors we've watched on this show so far. So
City
fuck
of a
you,
Thousand
Jack.
Planets or something.
How can a city have planets?
I'm so excited.
And thank you to Genevieve, Sultan Bank, Ronnie, Violet, Joshua Jenkins, and Stephen Francisco Santana. We're going to use your money to either buy Cole a new mic or a webcam, or send Stu to the Rainforest Cafe.
Or both.
Or all of those things if you give us enough.
All of those things. And if you feel bad and want to show your support to Cole, you should do that by giving us your money.
Exactly, yeah.
All right.
I was struck down in my prime.
It's the worst time to be struck down.
It really is.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Catch us again in... I think this is going to be like a free bonus, so there should be another episode out the week after this comes out.
Something like that.
See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Man, it's a totally different game when one of your co-hosts isn't your editor, and that changes things a lot because they can't yell at you mid-record.
Yeah, no, we're in like a little Game Grumps setup.
No, Miguel is at our mercy at all times.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
What the hell is going on?
Leave us.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
I've paid you a small fortune.
And this gives you power over me?
What is this?
Turtle penis in my anus, turtle penis in my anus, turtle penis in my anus, semen in my colon.
Which was the style at the time?